So I'm down here. The expressway is right here, right next to UIC, 18th Street. You can see the banner right up here. There, it says 18th Street up there. But it doesn't say exit here for UIC. And you would exit there or Roosevelt for UIC, but there's nothing that talks about exiting for University of Illinois, Chicago. And this is all the backside. And again, this is by the university, and I don't know what the university's development plans are. So, have no idea. Here's 16th Street, which I used to live off of, fairly close to 16th. Let's go up to 18th, and that will lead down into Chinatown. But again, you do have all this space that are under the expressways. So I don't know what they do with the space under the expressways. Do you make them into parking areas? Because they can be parking lots under the expressway. So these can be parking, and there's no parking around this area, but they can make these into parking lots under the expressway. These areas can be parking lots. Now, here's some parking like right along a little bit, but none under the expressways. Now, if you're worried about them coming down or something, or you're worried about something exploding in the vehicle and taking down the expressway, then yes, that's a concern. Then you don't want them parking, you don't want them utilizing the space. But if not, then they need parking, and there's ample parking under the expressway. So there's another way to create parking, is create underground parking garages under the expressway. Since the land above it, there's nothing but highway, you can put underground parking under the expressway. So it's another way to maximize land and preserve the other space for other opportunities. But c'est la vie. So I'm heading down into Chinatown, which is right off of UIC, and UIC has a good connection to China, and there's the view of Chicago, and you can see the skyline from here, from Chinatown. Here, let me get over here, and so everybody can go. See this piece of filth right here, flying, Chicago filth. So we gotta allow them to, the gods. So again, here's the skyline, and it says, "Give me something," and it's a beautiful view. Roll down the window here, and you get a beautiful skyline. It's actually a beautiful view. If you're an artist, I would be up here sketching a portrait, right? Or taking some pictures at different times and creating posters and other artwork, photography. But anyways, it's a beautiful view. They got a recreation center up there. But like I said, I could go to New York and LA, and I have no problem driving around. And I had car, and driving around, I had no problems. None. And I'm talking going back into the 90s. I drove many times to San Diego, and I've never had problems. No issues. I drove across country to go on spring break with a kid from Mexico and a kid from Lebanon. Arab and a Mexican, and we went on spring break from Benedictine down to Florida. And I drove all the way down, drove all the way back. And so, I don't know. And then, I don't know what they're doing. These red things they have here, I guess Chinatown could decorate itself for Christmas. But I don't see it decorating itself, so, it's interesting. So anyways, Chicago, interesting. And here's string. And I go in this place and they treat me like crap. Always shaking the legs or somebody doing something to annoy me in this place. Seriously. I mean, there's serious things. I come in there, try to be respectful, and somebody in there does something to annoy me. Isn't that the Chicago way? Figure out how to terrorize Michael, how to drive him insane. Let's figure out how to annoy him. Let's do things in a conspiratory way to annoy Michael. This is the Chinatown Hotel, if you're ever to stay in Chinatown. And right here, good revitalization opportunity. And then Old Chinatown. And you got the Marriott. That's right over there. They're talking about building a hotel on the Chinatown parking right here. Okay. You have more capacity for the conventions. You have the Marriott there. And then around the corner, you have the Hyatt Hotel. Big hotels. And then there's another hotel that's a small boutique hotel that's right up here as well. And then you have the entrance to Old Chinatown. And obviously, this is a whole opportunity to revitalize everything here. Quite old, right? The mall went in the 80s. And this whole area is old. And there is a small hotel right up here. And here's the Chinatown Church. One of my former clients, she's one of the elders at the church. And so you see here, there's a hotel. Here's some parking for Old Chinatown. They don't really promote it, but there is parking here. And then here's another Marriott hotel. This is the Spring Hill Suites. So it's a small little boutique hotel here in Chinatown. So there's several boutique hotels. And this is the end of it. It goes down, but this is really the end of Old Chinatown. If you go further down, there is a strip mall that has a couple Chinese restaurants. But this is the heart of Old Chinatown. And as you see, most everything here, massively outdated. They got a Vietnamese cuisine restaurant. There's one Korean restaurant. And there's one, I think, Japanese. Is there a Japanese? No, I don't think there's any sushi places here. No sushi places. But there is, I think, a couple Vietnamese and one Korean restaurant, but no Japanese sushi place. So there's a couple other non-Chinese restaurants is the point. So you have Chinatown, and this is where they're thinking of building the hotel right here on Chinatown public parking. Now, it'll be right on top of the CTA, the RTA, the train line. And they haven't really done much with the revitalization of that. And then here. But if you're going to renew the Bear Stadium, and you're going to do something billion into the stadium, and then the package is like $5 billion, and the other $2.75 billion is supposed to be for infrastructure around the stadium. So a couple billion for the stadium, and then $2.5 billion, almost $3 billion in extra money that's supposed to go in to revitalize everything. And so that goes into McCormick Place, and then you have the old Michael Reese property, and that can be a park, or that's where they can put the stadium. That's on the other side. But again, who knows? And this is housing. Now, you see here, all this housing. This is actually for UIC. Medical students and that used to live in here, because I know Kumar and Kumar, they were two Indian guys who were accountants, and a bunch of Indian doctors went to UIC, truly Indian doctors, and they used to do the accountants for the med school students and the residency students that were Indian. So Chris died, and then his brother, there's obviously no second Kumar, because Chris died. So his brother's still around, but Chris is a really good guy. And he used to hang out with a small Asian girl. And she was nice. She was a nurse at UIC. And I haven't seen her in a long time, but she was super nice and friendly. And I met them at Bally's working on the morning in River City. And Chris was incredible at racquetball. Surely he was very good. But again, he didn't move much, and he had a heart attack and died. Here's the Hilton Garden, and this is the other property. So you got the Spring Hill, you got the Jaslyn Hotel, you got the, let's see, the Hilton Garden, the Spring Hill Marriott, the Jaslyn Independent, and then you have the Marriott Hotel, and this is JW Marriott Hotel, and that's right next to the Wintrust Arena. That this was built by DePaul University, which should turn it over to UIC. Like I said, this should just become UIC's arena, and they should sell it to the University of Illinois Chicago. It would only make sense. They could even sell it to the University of Chicago, and build something near them. So, truly, they don't have, unless they're going to build their downtown campus here, which, if they keep it the DePaul Arena, I can show you. This is the Hyatt, and this is McCormick, right? And they talked about expanding McCormick. Well, you don't have to build the Bear Stadium. They wanted to expand the convention space, and you don't have to put the Bear Stadium. What you can do is expand the convention space and make it some kind of, indoor, outdoor kind of convention area. But again, this is over here, and it's the old Michael Reese, and they were talking, they needed more convention space. That's what they were talking before. So if you're going to expand it, then right on the other side here is the Michael Reese space, and just expand the convention area. Truly. Or what could go in here is a mall. And it's not serving the convention area per se. It's serving here. Now there's a strip mall down the street, but doesn't really have much. It's a smaller strip mall. It has some, but not a high-end mall. And this would be very good for all these people. So if you don't expand the convention space, putting in high-end retail to service all these people going this way, they don't have a high-end mall servicing them. So you can put in grocery shopping, and you can, in the mall, you can put a Mariano's with a Whole Foods, with a Jewel. And so when I was in Scottsdale, there is a mall in Scottsdale. It has a super Walmart that has a great shopping. Then it has a Kroger's, but it's not called Kroger's. It's their other thing, where the Kroger has a store that's like Myers. You could put Myers in here. Maybe it's called Fred Myers. I think it is. So you could put a Myers store here. They're out of Michigan. They can come in here. A Mariano's can, Whole Foods. But the mall has multiple grocery stores. Not one grocery store in Scottsdale. This mall has 4 different grocery stores. 4 different grocery stores. So they have the Walmart Supercenter. It has its grocery store. They have the Fred Meyer's. They have a 2 other brands, and I forget what they are, but they have 4 grocery stores in this strip mall. 4 big grocery stores. So they can put 4 grocery stores in there. A Whole Foods, a Mariano's, Myers, and they can throw in a Walmart Supercenter. Truly. And that can give them a lot of shopping. So, and they can throw in a Target as well, which I'm not happy with Target. So I don't know if I'll ever go back to Target again. But anyways, treat me like garbage. Everybody seems to. But again, that could be huge for here, because up here there's not much. And here to bring in higher end tenants and that, surely higher end tenants, people don't want to drive 20 miles for their groceries. So bringing in, even if you go up the other way and you have Museum Park, they have that one Jewel. That's it. One Jewel. One Jewel, and it's not even that high end of a Jewel. So most of those people go somewhere else for their groceries. So here's the other mall that I'm talking about. And so I'll turn down here. And so you have a Jewel Foods over here. Okay. So you have a Jewel Foods here. And then there's a hidden Mariano's that's on Clark Street on the backside. And if there's that development with Sox Park and that along the river, that would be good for the Mariano's. But still, you got a Jewel over here. Then you got to go to Roosevelt and Michigan Avenue, and you have a second Jewel. And those are miles apart. It is more than a mile, a couple miles apart. And so you have this over here, but you have a lot of housing down here. And this would add to the property value. These people would benefit because convenience is a big thing. If you go to Vernon Hills, they have 4 malls, a mall on each corner. 4 malls in Vernon Hill. And then they have Northbrook Court, and they have unbelievable amount of shopping. Truly unbelievable amount of shopping. You don't have that down here. Here's City Trends, and you have a Culver's, but you have one Jewel. And then on the back side, you got a small strip mall with a Subway, and I think it might have a Dunkin' Donuts, but not much. So that whole Michael Reese property can be, building out with a super Walmart, a super Target, a Myers. Truly, put in a Myers as well. Because I found when you put it in together, Walmart and Target, when they're in the places together, just like when you have Sam's Club and Costco near each other, they do more business because people tend to make it a destination and they travel to it and they get more traffic and both win. Yes, they're competing against each other, but that competition brings in people. So we have a place in Buffalo Grove. One side is the Walmart, the other side's the Target, and it gets tons of people because they go there because they're competing against each other. And so they can go into Target and look at things and go into Walmart, and they're right next to each other. And so it drives more traffic to the area, the competition. And then they have a hospital down here, which services this area, which since there's no more Michael Reese, but that hospital can have all kinds of clinics. Surely it can have senior care, adult care, child care, and all kinds of different other specialties, and it can service this area. So this hospital can do very well. And then it's there to service the convention. If anything happens, people get sick at the convention and that, the hospital is right here. Now, who owns the hospital? I have not the faintest idea. But again, and this is a Union Hall, I guess, Local 134. So 10% of the total employment base of the United States is union. 10%. 90% are independent contractors working. So this is Insight. I don't know who owns Insight Hospital. So, but it's right here by the convention, and it's very good if anything happens bad here. And the hotels right here, their staff can go to Insight Hospital. The people from Chinatown can go here. I don't know where UIC's hospital. I think that's further down, and that's a trip. But they could promote that locally. And how do you do it? You flyer. You go to the Chicago Post Office, U.S. Mail, and you tell them, you set demographics out. I want to mail out to seniors. I want to mail out to families. I want to mail out to single adults. I want to mail out to couples. I want to mail out to focus my mailer on families with small children. And so you target the different mailers from the same thing. And the same house can get multiple different mailers because you have parents, and that's adult. But then you're going after the children and you're sending it to the parents again, targeting the children. But that hospital can work with Marriott, the Hyatt, the Hilton Garden. This is all McCormick Place. They got two sides of it. And then you have expressway entrance here, but none of this is marked clear. And that's one of the bad things that's about this, is that truly nothing is clearly marked. And they don't have anything here talking about upcoming conventions. Truly, they should have boards here, and they should have them like at the Chicago airport and Midway. Truly, Midway's closest to here, but you have welcome boards. We want to welcome the Orthopedic Surgeon Convention to Chicago. We want to welcome the UAW Convention to Chicago, United Auto Workers Convention to Chicago. And so you can welcome them. And they should have that on the expressway, acknowledging that and letting people know who's in town. Because these businesses, it says give thanks, Thanksgiving on the sign. So that's the Blue Cross Blue Shield. They put out the messages that makes their building unique. And they should do some sort of branding, right? Now, here's going back to Wintrust. This is DePaul. DePaul doesn't really have a downtown campus. Now, the point of a downtown campus is getting adult education. The downtown campus is really about graduate school, grad levels, master's programs, and PhD programs, and then fellowship programs. Those are people that get out of PhD and they do research and so on, and they give them these fellowship. So really, that's what the Gleacher Center is. It's more about adult education. And now, not only for people seeking graduate degrees and postgraduate degrees, but also continuing adult education. That's why I went to the Graham School and got my certification at the University of Chicago. So it's big, and Northwestern has their adult education downtown too. So DePaul could open up its adult education down here. This area down here, this is right by the Wintrust, and they can focus on its adult education. So this is weekend students, this is night students, part-time night, and people that work the day shift, and this is for graduate schools and that. There are people who work day shift, like, say, police officers that can take graduate courses at night. So this area down here is ripe for development for DePaul's downtown campus, for their graduate. And then if they're going to keep the arena, then you want to develop the graduate campus here. And so they have this street, they have all this area, and they could develop its graduate school campus. So, okay, so he wants me to go. I'll go. I'll let him stay. He's the god. You know, and he gives me a shit-at look. A Chicago officer giving the shit-ass look. Like, we're warm and friendly. We're a city that brotherly love, like Philadelphia, which I used to laugh at. Because brotherly love, there's so much violence in Philadelphia. And they have the Liberty Bell and everything else. And, you know, you think if he's warm and friendly, then people are warm and friendly in its natural reciprocity. And if he has a shit-ass look on their face, people respond with hostility. Remember, most communication is nonverbal. And so if you're hostile, you present hostility nonverbal, they present hostility. So, and police don't understand that. So they go up to people. You don't have to be smiling. You're not laughing, but you need to be friendly. You need to have a cordial voice. You need to do things right. They need to train them to de-escalate. And the reason they get a lot of escalation because they don't train them to properly de-escalate. And I had to train people to de-escalate. But this is all by Chinatown. And like I said, the Wintrust. And I don't know what they're doing. But all this area is underdeveloped. And let me show you where, if this recording goes, where the other jewel is. So we're here at 0.6. So, or mile 6. So let's see if it checks up to 0.7. But you can do a GPS. And here's a church. This church was supposed to be rehabbed. And I used to talk to the black caretaker, an old black gentleman. I used to do Celebrate Recovery here at the Second Presbyterian Church with my church, NCPC. And so, again, and I can't find my softball shirt from NCPC. But anyways, so this area is kind of heavily residential, but doesn't have much. Like this place, it just opened, I guess, some kind of neighborhood sports bar again. But this place is way underdeveloped. So most of the people here don't really have a lot to do in the community. So there's tons and tons and tons of residents here. You think Chinatown would do a mailing into this community? Good for veterinary. My building was dog friendly. Now there's several churches here. These churches, and you're talking high concentration of residents, not a high concentration of businesses. This church right here, Old St. Mary's, you think they would do mailings and the pastor would go out into these businesses and introduce himself to the businesses and the employees, and then you have a rush critical care center or urgent care center. But again, they should be doing shots and immunization and all kinds of stuff. Urgent care means you can get it right away, so it's a quick medical thing. So you can go in if you got a cold and need a prescription, you can go into urgent care. They're cheaper than going into the hospital, into the emergency room in the hospital. So it's better to go into that, and it is. If you look at the costing, it's cheaper on medical plans to go into those urgent care centers than it is to go into a hospital emergency room. Hospital emergency rooms on premise are very expensive. Urgent care centers, they give you a discount, and I put this out before. So as you see down here, here's a space waiting to be developed, but you got Grant Park, right? And so we're at the corner, and if you go that way, Soldier Field, the Museum Park, but you can see giving thanks. What are they giving thanks? I don't know. Seems that everybody wants to terrorize me. No one ever says thank you for anything I do. So, but down here you can see it's very underdeveloped. Unbelievable amount of tenants. Farther down you got the Hilton Hotel and Michigan Avenue. That's the center for the Chicago Marathon and that. And then this Chicago Chamber, or the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, which I was a member. They have their annual gala. And I don't know where the Chinese American Service League, which I was involved with too, all these Asian things, in particular Chinese, involved with. But down here, very underdeveloped. And how many of these residents that live down here really use this train line? So is it more the employees that use the train line? Or, yes, it ticked up to 0.7. And there's the other jewel. So you have an incredible concentration of residents. There is tons and tons of people that live here. You have grocery store that's more than a mile apart, 2 jewels. And then there's a hidden Mariano's where I'll show you that I don't know how much traffic it gets. So there's 3 grocery stores. There's no Whole Foods. There's, no other higher end grocery stores. And again, that jewel is not a higher end jewel. But if I go down these side streets, or State Street here, as you see, this is all residential. And then I go over here, this is mostly all residential, and that's DePaul University. Meaning they have a downtown campus over there, but they can relocate all that right next to McCormick, right next to the stadium, and build out their graduate, their night school, their adult education, and everything down there. The land's cheaper, truly cheaper. If they wanted to, DePaul can expand on Michael Reese. They wanted to do that instead of the mall. Build the campus for DePaul Adult Education Center where the Michael Reese is. And then it's right down from Wintrust. It's Arena. And so you're getting graduate school and undergraduate, and I don't understand why they're not tapping into graduate students going to basketball games and PhD students and so on. And then your adult education, like when I did adult education at University of Chicago and Northwestern, they never offered us any athletic packages. Adult education, I could have used their student recreation center. They could have offered it to me. Adult education, they can extend their student health to you. If you're enrolled in an adult education program, like I was at the CFP program, you're taking numerous courses and you're getting a degree, and it basically you get this, you complete all the courses that you have to take, and then you get this certification that you've completed all these educational requirements for the CFP. But here, this is where they're talking about building. Now, this whole area, this leads all into Chinatown. All into Chinatown. So, and you can see that the train line and everything else, and this leads into Chinatown. But I'm going back towards Chinatown, and this is obviously going to go on YouTube, but this is all residential. So this is heavily residential, and if they build the Sox Stadium here, this taps into a very wealthy demographic. This is not just regular residential. The people that live here are high earners. Now, down south, they're not. That's a more low-end earning. So you'll get white and blue-collar mixture. But they're going to open up the Quantum Center down here, further down, and that's going to bring a lot of high-end earners in. So here's the Mariano's, the third grocery store. Now, does this do any marketing into Chinatown? This grocery store is the closest to Chinatown. And you can see the Marriott from over here. But this is the closest grocery store into Chinatown. And I could go in the back way, 16th or 18th Street is the backside of Chinatown. Or, as you see here, you get one little sign that says Chinatown. But again, this is, I'll go in the front side. So again, you have UIC that has student housing, like a lot of the medical students I told you. They're housed over here, but this is all fairly expensive housing. And again, there's avenues to develop. This is where UIC, all these apartments and that, this is lots of the med school and everything else. But again, this is UIC. And then you have this little corridor with these little businesses right here. But you have an incredible amount of residents. And then this is the other train area. So this is the elevated line. That over there that I showed you on Roosevelt is the subway and elevated line. This goes right into Chinatown. And then if you're here and you're thinking about this, you got tons and tons and tons of people that live right here. Tons. I used to live right over here, 1515 South Prairie, with my ex, Jennifer Kim. And again, you have tons of people, you know, right around here that they can market into that this mall doesn't market into. So the Chinatown Chamber, and let me show you behind Chinatown. There's tons of residents down that way, and then there's tons of residents up this way. So they have a huge base, and that's Walgreens. You think they'd have a Chinese theme to the Walgreens, right? And then you have some Chinese letters on the building. But again, here's the backside of the Chinatown Mall. Not good. And they have all the trash right here. And they have the doors open and the trash out. And this is where people walk by. Now, do you think that's great for breathing? Do you think these trash cans should be sealed, the top with a rubber ring around it that has to be closed, and they can have trash compactors inside, and they compact the trash, and then they put it in these containers, and the containers are sealed, so preventing any airborne contamination, right? But no. And so you have all these residents here, and those residents from here, here's U.S. Bank, has a presence here. Residents from here see this beautiful dumpsters. Lots of dumpsters. So when you're driving out from your apartments here, you drive into this, looking at this garbage ghetto, all the trash and dumpsters. So, and you have lots of housing here, and you get all these dumpsters, right? So, I don't get it. And then you say it's inviting. Well, I don't get it. All the trash is right there, the garbage, and there's more housing down here. But lots of housing, right? And that means there's lots of population around here. And so, let's just go on the front side again and show you, and then I'll go down by the other area. And so you're going to see what I disagree with. And so this is supposed to be inviting, supposed to be, nice and bright and, things. And now here's on the other side. Look at that. You see that? Let's see how let's zoom in. And this is what your clients see when they're walking and coming in. They see the trash. So, lots of trash. So, both sides on the outside around this mall is all the trash, all the garbage. And this is where people walk, right? And they're going to see this. And so, again, let's just zoom in on all the trash. See all those trash, garbage, trash, garbage, trash, garbage, trash, garbage, trash, garbage, trash, garbage, trash. So, do you think that makes for a very attractive mall? Truly. Do you think that makes for an attractive mall? I don't think so. And then let's go down this way. And because you're going to run up on a lot of other land. And we're just talking about street appeal. Lakeside Bank in Chinatown. So, you got the accident and injury attorney. Okay. But down here, again, all dilapidated. The bridges and all this, just garbage. And then down here, you have, let's just go straight. This is just off of Chinatown, right? And you have huge buildings right here, huge spaces. Right here, this building right here. And you have all those people that live here, and you can turn this into an open loft workspace, right? A WeWork space or something like that. But it can be business, and it's right here on the river. And then you have straight across here. And so you have all this space available. So let me move over for the gods. Now, I did like this, and this was smart. They did all these, and they used to have these on Michigan Avenue. They had all these statues of dogs. and they put them along Michigan Avenue. These are statues, and they put them along Michigan Avenue, and people, throwing out their trash on the street, the crate. Here, let me do some goodwill. Let me put on my flashers and go over and, do some goodwill. Here's Chicago. And we have something here upcoming. The Radius. I don't know what type of venue this is, but you have so I'll put this right here in between the bicycle thing. And so they got upcoming shows. So they got something going on here. But again, all these buildings, and then you got the highway right up here. And so this area is all closed in by highway. The Cermak Center. And this is Cermak that I'm on. And so you get Chicago, where people are just seems to be scumbags. I did Chicago Care and Chicago Gateway Green and all these beautification. I spent years helping and assisting and going around Chicago and cleaning up and beautifying and so on and so forth. And this city seems to, want to go the dirtbag way. So, anyways, you have all this area, and then you go down here, it's much more industrial. And on the turn back around, excuse my cough, and so this area tends to be very underdeveloped. So lots of cheap land. And so we're on the backside. So we're on Halsted. And this is in a run into Randolph Street. And that's where Google and all that is. So we'll go back up here down Halsted. I'm not going to turn down Canal. That would take me back that way. But again, here's Lily. I guess they got something going on down here. But anyways, this is Halsted. This is all underdeveloped, right? And so we're going to go up here. And this is going to take us back to UIC. And so you wonder what they're going to do. 18th Street, this takes you down to Chinatown. This is going to take me back into by UIC again. And so you got a heavily dense population down here. Not much about integrating or expanding or doing anything. So they're supposed to be putting in the $5 billion, right, for the Bears Stadium. But if you're going to do that, the Sox Stadium goes into on Clark Street and it rebuilds the area. So it's a $3 billion investment into the area. So it can be split between the two stadiums, the Chicago Bears Stadium and the Chicago Sox Stadium. And then they redevelop the area with the other $3 billion, right? That's not only the $2 billion going for Sox, so that's a $7 billion. Say the Sox Stadium cost $1 billion to $2 billion. and let's say $2 billion, and the Bear Stadium $2 billion. That's $4 billion for the stadium, and then another $3 billion split between two stadiums. Because if the Sox build its new stadium, two stadiums, $1.5 billion raised by each of the new stadiums for redevelopment in the area, and that pumps $3 billion into the area. And that means UIC, University of Illinois Chicago, can develop its campus. DePaul can develop its campus, and it can get into Robert Morris and Roosevelt University and others that can develop. So you can dump another $3 billion in this area for all kinds of improvements, right? Because you got two new stadiums coming in, and that means expansion of Admiral Planetarium, Shedd Aquarium, the Field Museum, and all that. With $3 billion, that's a lot of redevelopment. And you get two new stadiums with the other $4 billion, so $7 total billion-dollar investment. So it looks like it would be a great opportunity. But let's see if they're open or closed. I guess I'll go into Pizza Place and I'll end this video.